What's going on, guys? CrustyKs here from GoldBoys.com. Ready to bring you these conference tournament previews, talk about some games for tomorrow. Let's jump right into it. So the first one we're going to talk about, Cincinnati taking on Oklahoma State. These two teams just met to end the regular season. Oklahoma State beat them by double digits. Now we see them on neutral and Cincinnati laying 6 points. So for me here, I'm going to be on Cincinnati. It's a nasty play. It's a play that a lot of people probably aren't going to want to take. But when you look at this matchup, and if you watched any of the last game, Cincinnati very much looked like they were just in more of a let's stay healthy. We can't advance our seeding. Let's not do anything to hurt us. So for me, I look at them in this matchup. They know what Oklahoma State has, and it's not much. And I think that what they've done well and what they've had success with, that's made them play better down the stretch, has been forcing turnovers, really focusing on trying to get the ball inside. And I think they can do that here against Oklahoma State. In that last game, they shot, I believe, 55% from two. Didn't shoot that well from three, but obviously there's always a chance for some positive regression there. I just think seeing this spread as large as it is, given the result of the last game, feels pretty telling. So I'll be on Cincinnati -6. I think they likely roll here. Working through this slate here, the next one we'll talk about, Syracuse taking on Florida State. Florida State laying 3 points. This is another one. These teams met back in January. Florida State was laying 9. It was a long time ago, though, so we pretty much throw it out the window. Look at the body work for these two teams. And I think the biggest thing that I notice, they play pretty similar. Both like to rim run, not play a ton of defense. Biggest thing I noticed, though, is Florida State has a ton of size. You look at their average height compared to Syracuse, and these guys are literal giants compared to the Orange. So for me here, I like Florida State. If you don't want to lay the -3, I think on the money line is like a parlay piece. Or if you're okay with laying the -150, then go ahead and do it. But for me, I don't see how Syracuse can slow this Florida State team down consistently when their only front court piece is Eddie Lampkin, who just isn't athletic enough to guard some of these bigs on Florida State. If he gets in foul trouble, they don't have the depth behind him, and I think Florida State's going to be able to take advantage of that and get to the rim at will, for the full 40 minutes. So for me here, it's Florida State, like I said, -3, money line, however you want it. I think it's Florida State here by probably double digits, if I'm being honest. Working through this slate, Arizona State taking on Kansas State. Kansas State laying 5.5 points. These two teams have played twice this year. They split them, I believe. Let me check. Yeah. So Kansas State won the first one, which was at ASU by 1, and then Kansas State lost the second one at home by double digits. So this one's a little interesting to me. The spread at 5.5. It's so tough to tell in these neutrals if the spread is, for lack of a better word, fat or short. We talk about all the time in the Discord. For me here, I think 5.5 on a neutral, it's a pretty big spread. You look at these these spreads in the previous games. Kansas State on the road was a 3-point dog, and then at home they were a 6-point favorite, and they lost that game. So now we see them here on neutral, and they're laying 5.5 points, laying basically the exact same number that they were laying at home when they lost by double digits. When you look at this matchup, I just think Arizona State's lost too much. Too many injuries. They have BJ Mack obviously away from the team now. I believe the reason was undisclosed, but I'm sure it was one of the typical things we see, whether it be betting on yourself or some sort of disciplinary thing. So for me here, it's Kansas State -5.5. Like I said, I think Arizona State's lost too much. I believe Jaden Quaintance is going to be out once again, which obviously that affects their front court a ton. With Coleman Hawkins back for Kansas State, obviously paired with Nagusin, I just think it's going to be a really, really tough assignment for Arizona State to try and slow down these bigs. So Kansas State -5.5 here. That's where I'll be. The last one I want to touch on is this Pittsburgh taking on Notre Dame. Pittsburgh laying 3.5 points here. This is an interesting one because Pittsburgh, in my opinion, is pretty bad. I mean, Notre Dame, obviously, we all know, not very good. 14-17. It's really Marcus Burton or bust at this point. Shrewsbury's hurt. Alico's hurt. This team is just decimated by injuries. Pitt, they've had some injuries too, but for the most part, they enter this game fairly healthy. So the reason this line is kind of weird to me is Notre Dame beat this team in their one matchup this season as a 3-point dog at home. So now they're 3.5-point dog on a neutral. And for me, I don't think Pitt's very good. I've talked about this numerous times. There is a small chance that Alico comes back from what I've been reading. I believe Shrewsbury is out for sure. But for me here, I'm gonna take a shot on Notre Dame +3.5. I just think that this team, I like their coach better. And I think that Marcus Burton, I watched him single-handedly keep them in the game a couple games ago when they had no business hanging in there. So for me, yeah, here. Yeah, Shrewsbury's done for the rest of the year, which I thought that was what the case was. Is a small chance that Alico plays. Obviously, if he plays, I would like it a lot more. But I don't know, being a plus 3.5 when you're missing those two guys, to me seems pretty short and glaringly short at that. So Notre Dame plus 3.5 would be a play. It's a nasty play, but I do think they keep this one close. I did want to touch on a couple futures because we won't talk again until Thursday. So looking at the Big 12 tournament, I like a little long shot here on Kansas. It's a team that, I mean, myself included, doesn't think is very good. But you look at the bracket and you see the side of the bracket they're on, and their toughest task would be Texas Tech. And that's assuming Texas Tech doesn't have one of their random slip-up games where they would drop a game to, you know, Kansas State, Baylor, whoever they may play. But Kansas, they're on the same side of the bracket as UCF, Utah, and regardless, they're on the easier side of the bracket. So I think that taking them at 12-1 right now, there's a good chance that they, you know, end up at least in the semis taking on likely Texas Tech, but any team from the other side of that, on the other side of their bracket, other than the same side as Arizona. And that's the thing, like they just beat Arizona. When you look at stylistically, Kansas defense is built to stop the two. Arizona's a team that loves to shoot twos. So matchup wise, it makes a lot of sense for Kansas to have success there. I just think at 12-1, it's a team that a lot of people are out on, but the talent's still there. We all know the talent's there. Probably one of the most talented rosters in college basketball. They just haven't been able to put it together. So for me here, like I said, 12-1, I think that there's a ton of value there, at the very least for a hedge opportunity, if they were to get to the final against, you know, Houston or whoever comes out from the other side. The other one I was looking at here, the SEC one, let me pull the bracket real fast. I was talking with a couple people about this one as well. So we look at the SEC bracket, and for me, I think I like the value. I mean, it's not like crazy value because obviously they're better teams, but I think Alabama or Florida, just because they're on the other side of the bracket away from Auburn, I mean, the teams on that side, I think that side's going to be Florida versus Alabama. I really do. You look at the teams on that side, you got LSU, Mississippi State, Missouri's been one of those teams where we've all seen it. They can't win away from home. And even at home, they haven't looked good down the stretch here. And then like Oklahoma, Georgia, Kentucky, you can't trust them with no defense. So for me, I really think that Alabama has a legitimate chance to win the SEC championship. You know, obviously they beat Auburn the last time they played, but if they can get by Florida, I mean, that obviously puts them in the final. I think there's a lot of value there. I was looking at it earlier. I believe it was 4-1. Let me just get you guys accurate odds here real quick. But like I said, I mean, this is a team that we all know they can score with the best. I mean, the defense obviously leaves a little bit desired. But in the SEC, especially with, you know, the top teams, I mean, Florida plays decent defense. Obviously, Auburn plays decent defense. But I just think that there's a lot of value here on Alabama. It's a team that a lot of people are out on. So for me, yeah, here, plus 500. So I think taking Alabama plus 500, there's a ton of value there. Really like that one a lot as well. In terms of their conferences, I tried to look at spots where I felt there could be value. It's tough because I can't see the Big Ten one because I can't bet on Illinois teams, so they don't even show me the odds for those. So I'd have to pull it up, and I can't bet it anyway, so I really don't care. The only other one, and it really wouldn't even, it's not a ton of value. I like North Texas at plus 240 for the AAC. I know Memphis is kind of the class of that conference, but this North Texas team is good. If you watch them, they play elite defense. They shoot the three really well, and those are two things that you got to be able to do to beat Memphis. So obviously Memphis is the clear-cut favorite in that conference. I don't deny that. But I think North Texas, if they face off of them, I think North Texas could possibly take that game. So I'll leave you guys with that one. As always, all my official plays will be posted in the Discord. If you have a gambling problem, don't worry, Gambler. Thanks, guys.